Hello and welcome to Season 10 of In the Kitchen with Mary Mac. Yes, Season 10.
Happy Podiversary!
Thank you. Happy Podiversary to you as well. This is episode 218 also. You might wonder why it's only episode 218 since we've been doing this for 9 years now and headed into our 10th year. It's because of life. That's why. We do about, well, this is a bi-weekly podcast. So we do about 20 probably new podcasts every year. And we do a few repeats. We try not to do too many repeats. Anyway, so that's why there are 218 podcasts, even though we've been doing this forever. It's hard to do a weekly podcast. And I'll tell you what, hats off to people who do a weekly podcast because it is hard. Even for ours, and ours does fluctuate quite a lot with length. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long, sometimes it's medium, sometimes it's real short. But anyway, we've been doing it for 9 years, so hats off to us. So last year I kind of had a theme. As I started going through, I realized that I had a theme, and my theme was classic recipes. And I guess all of the recipes we do are kind of classic recipes, sort of. This year, the theme is going to try and be, I'm going to try and do this, but I'll probably forget I'm doing it, but my favorite things. So I'm going to share some of my favorite things, my favorite recipes, favorite foods, and things like that. And hopefully I will be able to stick to that. But if you've listened to this podcast much, you'll know that I'm not real good at sticking to anything. So we will try and stay focused on the favorite things of Mary Mac. So this is our first episode and the first favorite thing, and I've been thinking about this quite a lot. So just coming through the holidays, we had a lot of this particular item. We really like it. The family likes it. So I thought this would be a great thing to start the year off with, and it is in fact the Relish Tray. In the past few years, there have been a lot of new takes on old things in food. One of the new takes on old things, of course, is a charcuterie board, which is very popular. I like a charcuterie board, of course. We used to call that the Italian meat and cheese board, but it went from Italy to France, so not bad. They're close. Before that, the food trend was a chopped tray, which is a horrific thing. Horrific. And that was, if you don't remember, they would take lunch meat and cheese and nuts and dried fruits and assorted things, and they would chop them all up together. So you would have this big mound of chopped up stuff. And Anna and I were at an event one time.
It just flashed back into my memory. Like a horrific nightmare of food.
Everyone at this event was walking up to this mound of chopped up stuff saying, so what do we do with this? And I was like standing there, probably for over 10 minutes. I stood there and explained to people how to eat this.
I was so hungry. And I was like, I don't want to touch that. So eventually I think there was a sliders table.
Yes,
the sliders came out and then everybody swarmed over there.
Oh, yeah. I suggested that we all go up to the 7-Eleven and get a loaf of white bread and just make sandwiches with it because it was very difficult to eat, very messy.
And when she says mounds, when things were mounded up, it was like a mountain range.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was really bad is
it was so high.
There were no options for you. For example, if you couldn't eat nuts, well, there were nuts all through it.
Yeah.
If you had any food allergy, forget it. And you could not.
God save you if you were vegan.
Yeah. And you couldn't bypass things that you didn't like. So it was horrific, And then, of course, there's the ever popular crudités or crudités, which is the French version of a vegetable tray. And that's basically all it means is a vegetable tray. That's what it is. And that was popular for a while. That's come and gone, especially when people were making fun of certain politicians who, used that term instead of vegetable tray like all the rest of us use. And before then was this classic thing, which is the relish tray. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The relish tray Well, let's put it this way. Relish has been a part of the human diet for hundreds of years, like for as long as you could pickle things, and I'm talking like in the Roman Empire or before then even. You could pickle things because you had vinegar, you had salt. You could put herbs and spices in that vinegar and salt, and you could take different things and preserve them, like vegetables, fruit, olives, small fish, anything like that you could pickle. Relish is a very popular thing. It's easy to make, and it's something you can make in a small batch and put in your refrigerator. There are popular refrigerator pickle recipes for cucumbers and zucchini, onions even, that you can make and put into your refrigerator, let them ferment for a couple weeks and eat them, that sort of thing. So pickled things have been around forever. Things like sauerkraut, which is basically fermented cabbage, but it would be sort of pickled because you do put salt in it and you allow it to ferment, and it has the salt as a preservative, but you get that tart flavor. So those kind of things have been around forever. Making pickles in a big barrel out of cucumbers, that's old technology, okay? People have enjoyed that as a part of their diet for forever. Preserving a variety of things chopped up together has been a part of recipes for hundreds of years. For example, chopping up a variety of like apples and nuts and berries and either pickling those or putting sugar in there and making it sort of a salad that you preserve in that, where your preservative is the sugar or the vinegar or whatever. That's a popular thing too. In mostly every society has things like that. From Asia to Europe to North America, you have that. So it stands to reason that somebody would have put all this stuff together on a tray at some point in time. Stuff like this was always popular with wealthy people. The kings and queens always had all these little relishes on their fancy buffets. Wealthy people in the late 1800s and early 1900s had, as a part of their china service or their dishware, they had these extravagant shaped dishes and particular containers that certain things went in. So, for example, in the 1800s, celery was hot. Towards the end of the 1800s, getting into the 1900s, celery was, oh my gosh. You wanted to show off, you had a dinner party, and then you put a big vase of celery on your table. And people were impressed because it was hard to get. Not like today when you get some floppy celery with your hot wings, I'm telling you, celery was a big deal. One of my hobbies is I love to tour old homes, old mansions and whatever. And one of the things I really love is when you go into one of these tours and they actually have the dining table set up with all of the dishes. Everything that goes with a meal, the small glassware that would hold spoons, and then the jelly dishes and all that kind of thing. And the celery holders were phenomenal from that time period. They looked like a really, really fancy vase. But if you see one, they're maybe about 4 or 5 inches tall. And they're made that you put that whole celery stalk in there with the leaves and everything on it. They're very neat kind of a thing. But anyway. Of course, celery fell out of favor, I suppose. Everybody could have it at a certain point, and then it was like, well, I don't want to have celery. Everyone can have celery. As things do, that trickled down to everyone else. And people said, hey, the rich people eat all these vegetables and pickled things together. Why can't we have vegetables and pickled things? Right? So, in the early 19th century, a thing became very popular, which was called stamped glass. And stamped glass made fancy friendly. You know what I mean? You could get all kinds of beautiful patterns on your dishware that cost next to nothing. Sometimes it even came in your laundry detergent. And of course, the relish dishes were a huge hit. So what's a relish dish? If you don't have one, what they are is a divided platter. So usually they were pressed glass. Sometimes they would be pottery, like, for example, Fiesta Ware made a really cool relish tray that the parts lifted off of it. So it was kind of an assemblage, and it was all these little dishes that went onto a platter, all different colors because it's Fiesta Ware. Those were very popular. But the stamped glass is huge, and as a matter of fact, you can still find those today at thrift stores or at your grandmother's house. I have a couple of relish plates I have one from my grandmother that's cut glass, and then I have one that I think we got it as a wedding gift or something. But it's on a little pedestal, and it has 4 compartments, and there's little, I say walls, there's little like walls in it. It's stamped glass. And that's to keep the juice from your various pickled items from running into your other various pickled items, because you don't want the juice from your pickled beets running over there and getting onto your pickled asparagus, right? So that's what these things look like. These became very popular in like the early 1900s because, like I said, they were making fancy affordable. You know, people wanted to have these nice things. They wanted to have beautiful dishware. They wanted to have beautiful serving dishes, but they couldn't afford, these super expensive things. So these things were very affordable because they weren't cut glass. They were stamped glass. This is also known as pressed glass or depression glass. And this became popular in, like I said, the early 1900s because it was very affordable, it was very pretty. It came in a variety of colors. Sometimes it even had this luminescent quality to it that made it look like, when oil is in water, that kind of thing. And there were a lot of special serving plates made and a lot of relish plates made because it was such a popular thing. And as you got into the 30s, it became even more popular because everybody at that time was canning and pickling and making things and whatever. And, people didn't have a lot of money. So if you wanted to have something a little bit special with your meal, you could take out some of those pickles that you made, and then maybe you got some radishes out of the garden, and maybe you had some regular little dill pickles, and maybe you had some olives, and you could put them on this plate and make something that looked kind of fancy to enhance your holiday meal. So what do you put on a relish tray? What goes on a relish tray? Typically, they hold these sorts of things. All the varieties of olives, which there are many, pickled vegetables like cucumbers, onions, okra, beets, anything else you can pickle. There are also fresh vegetables involved in a relish tray. So you would have celery, carrots, sliced up cucumbers, maybe some green onions. You would have Spanish olives that are stuffed with a pimento. You would maybe have spiced cauliflower, pickled mushrooms, asparagus, okra, green beans you can pickle. Then you would have fresh slices of pepper, cucumbers, radishes, all the different, there's a lot of different kinds of radishes, and there's really not much else you can do with those except for put them on a relish tray. All these different things. You can make something really spectacular with a relish tray. All different kinds of vegetables and pickled things. And it's basically like a low-calorie, healthy option, and just about anybody can find something they like on it, right? You don't have to worry if someone is lactose intolerant or vegan or food allergies or whatever, because your food is separated and very distinctive. People can see what it is, they know what it is, and they know if they can eat it. This is something my grandmother did, and I'm sure many grandmothers did. She would take her celery, and instead of cutting it into little sticks, she would leave it, as the stalk and put pineapple-flavored cream cheese in it, which they used to sell.
What?
Okay, they still sell this stuff, but it comes in a 4-ounce or 6-ounce, maybe 6-ounce glass that has a little snap-on lid that you later save to drink out of. So all of us had those when we were kids. I have a bunch of them downstairs. I have a whole collection of them from Aunt Rachel. They held things like pimento cheese and cream cheese with pineapple in it and blended cheeses of all sorts. And what you did with those was you scooped them into a stalk of celery and put them on your relish tray. How fancy is that? That was my grandmother's go-to hors d'oeuvre and an intricate part of her, as we called it in the Italian days, antipasta, which is also something that is a relish tray. So, you can fill up your celery and make it extra fancy. We have these pretty often. We have some friends that we get together with regularly. We have a thing we call bridge night, but we don't actually play bridge. We just eat. It makes us sound like better people than we are. But this is always a part of it. Having a relish tray is always a part of it. Or as sometimes I call it, a pickled tray. We'll get all kinds of different olives and pickled things and snacks and stuff. And it's just, it's something it's light to snack on. I apparently know I have read that if you eat pickled things as an appetizer before you eat, that it increases your appetite or something. I don't know, because I think it just increases your appetite to eat more pickled things. I mean, I can eat a lot of pickled mushrooms, so that could be it. But we have these all the time. So over the holidays, we had them for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And one of the things that I read, which I thought was, yeah, this explains it all. They said the reason that people had relish trays before holiday meals was to give the cook a break so people wouldn't be nagging her all the time to ask when the turkey was going to be done. They could be in there snacking on the relish tray. In food trends, fermented things and pickled things are becoming very popular. So I think this is going to be a very trendy thing this year, because I'm saying that it is. So get out there and find yourself a nice relish tray. I have a Tupperware one from like the 70s that has all those little compartments, and it has a snap-on lid that you can pile high with stuff. Apparently, you can get these at like antique malls and thrift stores, so keep your eyes open. Watch out. If you're going over to your grandmother's house or one of your aunt's houses, scope it out and see if they have one that they're not using. Maybe they'll give it to you. And get yourself a nice relish tray, and then you can make these amazing appetizers. Some of the things that I've seen online, people take pint jars and half-pint jars and arrange them on a regular tray and fill all those with your pickled things. Now, one thing that a relish tray does not have is it does not have meat or cheese in it. So, resist the urge. If you want to have a meat and cheese tray, have it separate. Don't mix it in with your relish, because that's what you do with an antipasta. An antipasta is basically everything. It's meat, cheese, pickled things, olives, vegetables, whatever. You mix it all together, and it's all displayed together. And I know that's also kind of popular too, but for the relish tray, there's not meat and cheese on it. You just want your pickled and your vegetables. And this is a time to use up, when you're in the store and you see like these weird vegetables and you're like, gee, what would you ever do with that? What would you, figure out how to do something with them. Like I said, radishes. There are like so many kinds of radishes, so many kinds of carrots that would be interesting to have, all different colored carrots. I like to get the multicolored grape tomatoes and have those on my relish tray. They're really good. You can also take those multicolored tomatoes, or even just the regular grape tomatoes, take them and toss them in Italian dressing. And you can also take a toothpick and poke a couple holes in them and then toss them around in the Italian dressing and then put them in the tray. And it kind of gives them a little bit of that dressing flavor. So that's kind of a neat thing to do if you like that. If not, just serve them plain. It looks pretty to use the different colored tomatoes. I like to use red, yellow, orange, and green bell peppers and cut them into strips to have all of the colors of peppers there. One of the other things that we've found that we really like is this spiced cauliflower that's jarred, and I cannot remember. Someone makes this. It's like Bellevue or one of those companies that does a lot of canned vegetables and pickled things. It's a spiced cauliflower. We really enjoy it. It's almost like allspice and cinnamon and a little bit of clove in it, but it's very tasty. The pickled mushrooms are the bomb. So, like I said, if you go into your grocery store, or if you have a good Italian market near you or anything like that, go to the pickled section, go to the specialty food section, and look in the canned stuff. And you'll see all sorts of different olives that are stuffed with different things. We like the garlic stuffed olives. Oh, they're phenomenal. Some of my family likes the jalapeno stuffed olives, which are wicked hot. You might want to avoid those. Pickled beets are good, anything like that. So if you go into a specialty food place, or even like a farm market that sells a lot of the Amish canned items, you can find some neat things there. You can also get like regular relishes and have crackers to serve those on, like fruit relishes, cranberry relish and peach relish, things like that are really good too. And you just, put some on a cracker. So that's good too. But anything like that to make it super interesting and put a lot of choices on it. And the beauty of this is it's a beautiful, colorful tray of healthy items. I saw an ad online for a relish tray that had 5 different things on it. It had olives, tomatoes, dill pickles, sweet pickles, and celery, I think, maybe celery and carrots. And they wanted $60 for this thing.
What?
So I'm going to tell you, if you had $60 and went to your grocery store and got some jars of things and some different vegetables, you could make the most enormous relish tray. So please, don't be fooled into buying a relish tray. Make your own relish tray. Sort of like the vegetable trays they sell. The vegetables are always nasty on them, and it doesn't take long to make a vegetable tray. So, I don't know. I saw that and I thought, are you kidding me? $60 for that? I make these things all the time. I mean, good Lord.
Maybe you should be charging for them.
I don't want it. This is something you want to make. You know what I mean? Like, this is something you want to make yourself. It puts your, like I always say, put what you like in it. You know, make something that you're going to enjoy, that looks pretty, that you're going to like. And it's very easy to do with a relish tray. So now you're not stuck anymore. When you're invited to go to something, you can go grab a couple jars of pickled stuff and a few fresh vegetables and throw together a relish tray and wrap it up and take it. It'll be beautiful. And people will go, oh, what a great idea. I get that all the time and I really love it.
Would you say you relish those comments?
Yes. Why, yes.
I would just like to point out that it took a massive amount of self-control to not make that pun before now in the episode.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone.
Well, that's episode 1 for 2025. And we want to thank everyone for listening. Hopefully someone's listening. But we want to thank you
to our one listener.
For our one listener.
Thank you.
For all these years, you poor person, you. But we just want to say thank you. And we enjoy doing it. We actually do meet people who listen to this and they tell us that they enjoy it. So that's why we keep doing it. So we hope you enjoy this. We hope you try a relish tray. And if you do, share some pictures with me at Mary Mac Bakehouse, and I'll share some of my pictures of relish trays, and I'll share pictures of the couple of trays that I have.
We could even do a hashtag on like Instagram or Blue Sky or wherever. You can tag us or use hashtag Relish Tray 2025.
Yeah, take pictures of your relish trays, hashtag Relish Tray 2025, and share them with Mary Mac Bakehouse. We're on Facebook and Instagram. And we would love to see your pictures. And I'll share some of mine. Because I think I make a darn fine relish tray. I'm just going to say it. I make a darn fine relish tray.
And make sure to check us out online on social media at Mary Mac Bakehouse and on our website, marymacbakehouse.com.
Thanks a lot for listening for 9 years if you did. And if you didn't, too bad for you.